Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Everything that's wonderful is what I feel when.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Train of Positivity. You have now entered the Warrior Zone. Yes, I called it the Warrior Zone, but we'll get back to that in just a minute. First, I want to do some introductions and give some props out to some people. Hi, I'm Antonio McMath with T4 Extreme, and I'm a life coach at a school for kids with learning disabilities. Yes, every kid at my school, when they walk into that building, has some type of learning disability. And they're my superhero warriors. Yes, I call them my superhero warriors because every time they enter the building, they enter the warrior zone. I have two sons. I have a 21-year-old and a 16-year-old, amazing young men. And I have a wife of 23 years. They're my watchmen warriors. They watch over me. They pray for me. They make sure everything in life is good for me, the warrior. So, special thanks to my ultimate warrior, which is God, who's allowed me for such a time as this to do this. And I'm so excited and happy, and all this energy is going to bubble over and just go into you all today. Secondly, I'd like to thank M&P Presentations, who have given me this opportunity. You didn't realize it, but now you're the encouraging warriors. Yes, you have a name now. You're the encouraging warriors. And before we leave that, every one of you will have a name. But let's first go back to what I said at the beginning. You are now in the warrior zone. But to be in the warrior zone, you have to know what a warrior is. So what a warrior is that person with great vigor, courage, determination when confronted with obstacles and challenges. That person that can stand, that can never give up, that says, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to do it. What I tell my kids all the time, when you're a warrior, as you think, that's who you become. So when you get to thinking, I'm great, I'm awesome, I'm positive, that's who you become. What I remind my kids of every single day, and I'm going to talk about them for a little bit, whether it's my sons or whether it's my kids at the school, is that you determine what happens to you. You determine how life looks. No one else determines that. And so I give them three things. There is no fears. You see it on the shirt. There are no excuses, and there are no limits. Again, there is no fears, there is no excuses, there is no limit. So since we're sitting there watching, I know we like to be interactive, and I know we're virtual right now. But it's okay because I'm going to make you interact with me. So you entered the warrior zone, get into that zone, get into the zone. If you have to hit a little bit, do a little something, get into the zone. You're there now. So what I want you to scream out, yell out, turn to somebody, look at somebody in their face while you're at your job, whatever, and say, no fears, no excuses, no limits. No fears, no excuses, no limits. I'm in the warrior zone now. All right, so let's explain all of that out because I know you want to know what all that means. When I tell them no fears, there is no fears, and fear can cripple you. Fear does not have to be from a scary movie. Fear can be from what someone said to you, what someone did to you, and caused you to be crippled in your life to not want to move forward. When I was a little kid, man, I remember being this happy-go-lucky, always jumping around. I did everything. I danced, I cooked, everything. And I remember the one thing that crippled me is I listened to my aunties and my uncles and my mom and them sit in the house one day and have a conversation about me and said that I would never be anything. And that crippled me forever because what I realized is that all of a sudden they thought I could. And what I didn't know then that I know now is that I determined that. I determined the fact of where I was supposed to go. So I let them cripple me, and I was afraid from that point on to do anything. And I will never, ever allow anybody else to do that. Well, that happened. And I had to grow and I had to mature and I had to do that. And I promise you that in your life, someone has said something, someone has done something that has caused you to be crippled, that has caused you to fear even stepping out of the box. But you got to know that it's all up to you. Again, as a man thinketh, so is he. There are no fears when you're in the warrior zone. You got to step it. You got to confront it. You got to be willing to say, you know what, no matter what happens, I'm the greatest. No matter what happens, I'm going to do it. No matter what happens, I'm standing tall. So there's no fears. Yes, my family did it. And yes, we had to do it. Another thing that caused me to have fears is that imagine being 12 years old. You're in your house and you get a call. And the call went like this that I got. Hello, do you know this lady? They were saying my mom's name. And they said, I think she's dead. My mom had just been in a car accident, hit by a drunk driver. And the only thing I heard was, I think she's dead. And I went in the closet and I hid because I was now afraid if I lost her, what my life would be. I was already afraid of stepping out. So now, with my mom gone, what would happen? And fear settled in again. But I had to stand up. And at that point, I had to say, you know what do I need? And at that point, I gave my life to Christ. But I stood up and I said, you know what? Not one fear is going to stop me. That don't mean life didn't keep happening though, because it did. So we know we need no fears. Second thing, no excuses. There should be no excuses about what you're doing and why you're doing it. You should never make an excuse on anything. On anything. If you're going to do it with everything you got in your heart. Don't make excuses. But I'm going to come back to that because I got some examples for you on no excuses. Let's go on and flip to no limits. We all know that there's things that say you can't do this, you shouldn't do that, you're not able to do this, and they set limits on us. We have no limits when you're in the warrior zone. When you're in the warrior zone, there's no limits to what you can do. As you think, that's what you become. You know, I keep going back to those same little things because I want you to get it into your heart. Because as you think, that's who you are. So there's no limits to what you can do. If you want to be great, if you want to be this next great speaker, if you want to be this next great teacher, if you want to be this engineer, there's no limits to what you can do. All you got to do is just know that. I remember growing up, and I remember people telling me when I was in fourth grade, I could not read. In fourth grade, I was on kindergarten reading level. Imagine, fourth grade, could not read anything. And I remember them taking me to this room, and they sat me in this room, and they said, this is where you're going to be, Antonio, because you can't read. And they'll set those limits. This is all you can do. But I went through middle school knowing that and was frustrated by it. So ninth grade, let me tell you what I did. Now I look back and I'm thinking, wow, I'm so glad. But when I did, I was thinking, man, am I crazy? So I get into ninth grade. You know, they let you fill out your schedules and everything. So I get this schedule and I said, I'm going to take honors English. I'm going to do this thing. And I signed up for honors English, knowing I couldn't read. By ninth grade, I was at second grade reading level. So fourth grade, kindergarten reading level, ninth grade, I had just gotten to second grade level. And I signed up for honors ninth grade English. First thing she tells us is we're going to have to do a public speech. You're going to have to write this speech and you're going to stand up and talk. I'm already afraid that I will never be anything because I've heard it. I'm already afraid because my mom is now at home. I'm taking care of my mom because she's been paralyzed since I was in 8th grade. And now I'm thinking, wow, now I'm going to stand up here and I don't want anything to limit me, but I don't know how to do this. And I remember her telling me this, and you know what a 9th grade, 13-year-old boy does when he has a stand-up? Y'all would think he gets tough and says some crazy. No, I cried like a big old baby. I bawl. I can't do this. And she is like, come here. And she takes me out in the hall. She says, I want you to think of it like this. Nothing stops you with you. Nothing in the world. If you believe it in your head that you can do it, then it's already written. You can do it. And I walked back in there and she said, you don't have to do it today. We're going to give you 2 weeks to prepare this thing out. 2 weeks, I mulled over, tried to figure it out. And when I finally stood up, she said, now remember what I said, only you make the difference. You have to decide this is not going to be. And I stood up and I gave my first public speech in 9th grade. And I took that honors English and I came out with a B. And I took 10th grade honors English, 11th grade honors English, 12th grade honors English. And by the 12th grade, guess what, y'all? 12th grade reading level. Went on to college. But it's because I said there's no limits. Nothing's going to limit me. Now let's get back to no excuses. We all make excuses. I've been molested by my uncle. No excuse for me not to live the man that I'm supposed to be. I watched my mom be paralyzed from the neck down. I have to learn everything over. We have to take care of her. We have to do this. And the last 4 years, me and my family have been homeless. And we've had to regroup everything and restart everything. But what I realized in all of that, because we both lost our child, but in all of that, it was God said, let me show you where I really want you. And let me give you a true story. But if I looked at it wrong, if I allowed all those to be my excuses of why I didn't want to move or why I didn't want to do something, then guess what? I would have been still stuck there. And yes, I told you all that. And yes, I skipped over some stuff because there's so much more stuff in there that has allowed me to grow and be this great man and allowed me to live this life right here and allowed me to be in the warrior zone. So what I tell all y'all right now is every single day you get up, enter the warrior zone. And when you enter the warrior zone, know that once you're in there, there are no fears, there are no excuses, and there are no limits. And you're going to live the life that you want to live because only you determine where you're going to go. Only you determine that. And again, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he becomes. So whatever's in here is what you become. Me doing this right here, saying, God, you know what? I want to speak to young men and watch their lives change. So as I think it, that's what I'm becoming every single day. Young people, old people, middle-aged people, professional, As you think today, so you become. Thank you for allowing me to be on the Train of Positivity. This has been awesome and amazing. I hope to see y'all again. I hope to be at some of your schools or whatever. Love you all. Have a great day and welcome to the Warrior Zone.
Thank you for joining us for the 2021 Train of Positivity Virtual Summit. If you have enjoyed this positive message, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If sharing, please don't forget to use the hashtag Train of Positivity.